Hi boys and girls. I want to do a lesson on this paper in your packet. It was called Inches, Feet, and Yards. So I just kind of want to compare the three of these a little bit to give you more idea of what we're talking about here. So before, when I was talking about an inch, we said there was the inches side of the ruler, which is the bigger side. And so in your mind, when we're talking about all these different units, you want to kind of be thinking, okay, when Mrs. Lemon says an inch, how big is an inch? And an inch, like we said, is about the size of a paper clip. So in your mind, when we're talking about inches, think, okay, an inch is about the size of a paper clip, okay? Now the next one it said was feet, which foot would be one of those, feet would be plural. So when we talk about feet, now we're not talking about everybody's foot size because obviously our foot sizes are different. When we say feet, we're talking about 12 inches. 12 inches right here is 1 foot, okay? So remember there was 1 inch, that was tinier. This is 1 foot. And then the last one it talked about was yards, okay? Now yards, this is gonna be kind of hard to show because of where I'm standing. But this is a yardstick. Obviously, this is pretty big, okay? Maybe you've seen this in our classroom or you've seen it, your parents may have one, but a yardstick, now when I look at this, a yard is 3 feet, and 3 feet would be 36 inches. Okay, there's the bottom. It goes all the way to right here where I drew the line. So obviously a yard is our biggest unit that we're talking about here. We had the inch, we had the foot, which is 12 inches, and now we have 36 inches, which is the 1 yard. So anytime we are talking about measuring, you have to think about, what am I measuring? Am I measuring something small or am I measuring something big? Because if I'm measuring something small, I'd want to use a small unit like measuring in inches. If I was going to measure my room, let's say I wanted to paint it and I needed to know how much paint I needed, I'm not going to measure in inches. I'm going to measure in something like feet or yards, probably more yards because yards would be a much bigger unit, okay? So as you're looking at this paper that you're doing, there's 2 sides to it and it shows you a little bit of examples. It says, the rope is about 1 inch long, okay? Now, obviously, that's tiny. It's showing you in comparison. We showed you that an inch is about this big. This ribbon is about 1 foot long, and the scarf is about 1 yard long. Again, those would be in real life. That's not what it looks like there, but it's trying to compare those 3 units. So as you're doing this, it says about how long is each object, circle the answer. These are talking real pictures. So when this shows the 50-cent piece, again, you're trying to visualize kind of all of this. A 50-cent piece, we talked about that, a $50. Is a $50 going to be measured this way about an inch, about a foot, or about a yard? That's what it's asking. The next one it's showing like a windowsill. Now that's not saying this tiny window that's here, it's saying a real window. Would a real window, would I measure that from here to here, would I measure that, would that be about an inch, about a foot, or about a yard? Same thing with a 2-liter bottle of pop. In real life, not this teeny tiny one, a big one, would it be about an inch, a foot, or yard? And then the paper clip. Down here it says about how long is this piece of tape? About 1 inch, 2 inches, or 6 inches. So get that estimate, thinking of what you know of how big an inch is, how long is that piece of tape there. And then the other side, it does the same. It gave you an example of 3 different objects. It said which one here is about a foot, and a actual hammer would be about a foot. You've got which one would be about a yard, like a dresser of how tall it would be, a caterpillar here, or a shirt. Which one would be about an inch? This is always kind of a fun, interesting one. It says measure from your fingertips to your elbow. So estimate how many paper clips. Then you can try to do it with paper clips. Again, from your elbow to your wrist. And then you can do in inches as well. maybe you could have someone help you do that a little bit. Lastly, Sandy measures the length of a hockey stick. She says it's 4 units long. Which unit would she be doing? Now, we didn't talk much about cubes. We talked about paper clips. You could measure in cubes too, like our math cubes. But I doubt that's the one they're talking about here. This is again saying a real life hockey stick, not this teeny tiny one. Would you measure it in inches, feet, or yards? And lastly, it says, what is the height of a water bottle? So think of a water bottle, and would it be about 9 cubes, 9 inches, 9 feet, or 9 yards? So hopefully you'll understand this a little bit. If you need to talk to an adult to get a little more clarification, that's okay. But the biggest thing to remember when we're talking about inches, feet, or yards is, what are you trying to measure? The smaller thing that you're trying to measure needs a small unit. The bigger the thing is, it needs a big unit of measure. All right, work hard. See ya.